So, I feel like this is actually some pretty good trivia for the 2024-2025 season, because today, the Vancouver Canucks and Patrik Allvin have placed Guillaume Brisebois and Jett on waivers. You know what's funny? This is like the entire video here, but I think this is a good opportunity to just kind of breathe a little bit for Vancouver Canucks fans, acknowledge everything that's going on, talk about these two players, and get into the trivia aspect of it. Because the funny part is, these two guys, Brisebois and Wu, are the first two players from around the entire NHL to get cut from their teams and who don't have exemption to waivers. So out of all the teams, 32 in the league, these two guys are 1 and 2, and they're getting sent down together. Now, here's the thing about Brisebois and Wu. Are they in a position where they're likely to get claimed? I'd say probably not. You know, Patrik Allvin, I feel like he can confidently make this move on sending both of them down on waivers without really too much fear that they're going to get claimed, but let's talk about them either way and just kind of go over the tail of the tape here. So, for Guillaume Brisebois, this is the first one that I think stands out to most Canucks fans because he was a third-round pick in the 2015 NHL Entry Draft, taken behind Brock Boeser as the Canucks' second pick of the night. He's now 27 years old, which is kind of nuts when you think about it. I still do feel like Brisebois is a younger, transitioning prospect kind of guy. He was never really able to break out as a mainstay Vancouver dude, although he did have a few games played here and there with the main Vancouver Canucks. 2 seasons ago, he had 17, which is pretty okay, but, you know, he was always seen as more of a depth defenseman option. Last year, he only had 8 games played with the Abbotsford team, so he definitely did not have the best year, was not healthy as much as he probably should have been. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember seeing him much in the preseason. Like, was he there? Was he playing? I have no idea. I remember he did get concussed last year because of Brandon Tanev in the preseason, which now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, imagine that, eh? Brandon Tanev last year injuring one of the Vancouver guys, and then this year he's getting into it with, I believe it was Mark Friedman in their preseason game. I love Chris Tanev, but man, that Brandon Tanev's starting to seem like a pain in the behind, so that guy can screw right off. We also had ourselves this tweet made by Satyr Shah. We spoke with Brisebois at training camp. He's ecstatic to be back skating, but he acknowledged he still has a long way to go to be ready for the NHL after struggling through a concussion last season. Okay, yeah, so there's no way he's going to get claimed. It's probably not realistic here. I think a lot of NHL teams would say, yeah, no, the guy was coming from a concussion. He only played 8 games last year. He's still trying to recover and get back up to speed, so not really worth the risk of a waiver claim. You know what else is funny too? This was talked about in the Canucks sub, but because Brisebois signed his contract with Vancouver in 2015, he's technically the longest tenured player with the team. He overtakes Brock Boeser because Boeser did not sign his contract with the club until his Draft Plus 1 season in 2016. That's nuts! Literally the longest tenured player in the Vancouver Canucks organization right now is on waivers, and his name is Guillaume Brisebois. It's not Brock, it's Brisebois, which kind of illuminates how grateful everybody should be that Jim Benning's entire roster that he built isn't really here anymore, aside from, of course, the top stars. I will say, though, Brisebois always did have himself a decent amount of potential to be something at the NHL level. Let's say a bottom pairing, tweener kind of guy, which for the most part he was for a few years. Not really like he's going to be super amazing, but still, we're wishing him the best in recovery. Next up, we got to talk about the other guy that was sent down on waivers. It's Jett, whom we did see yesterday in the game in Abbotsford suit up against the Calgary Flames. He had some really big hits, which has always been his bread and butter. Wu's a lot younger than Brisebois, 2018 second-round pick, 24 years old, and while he's not the biggest dude in the world at 6 feet 205, Wu has always been a physical monster and a guy who, in 2018, was in contention for most physical and aggressive player in the draft, and that was great to see. He would have no difficulty in bringing the smack down and absolutely torturing guys on the ice with big body checks and scoring points as well. His days in the Moose Jaw Warriors saw him put up a decent amount of points, but heading into the AHL, it actually took him a long time to be comfortable and actually start producing at that level. He went from 5 points to 8 points to 21 points to 31 points in this most recent season. So Wu has indeed gotten better. I don't want to say he's like fit for the NHL at this point in time, but around this period, I think it's starting to level out where he's mostly going to be an AHL player for most of his career. Like Brisebois, I don't really see Wu having a chance of getting claimed unless a team really needs a right-handed defenseman to play and maybe light some guys up, you know? Edmonton needs a right-handed defenseman. We made a video about that earlier in today's show, about how David Savard could be a target, but there's no way they're getting Wu. There are a whole bunch of other NHL teams that could use extra right-handed D, but there's no way they're saying Wu is the guy. As we had seen yesterday, even though he can hit guys really powerfully, he isn't really ready to fully be an NHL guy. He's a little careless, he doesn't really make the best puck plays, and overall there's more development that needs to be had there before the Canucks even give him a call-up option. And besides, you know, with other names in the pipeline, with Mark Friedman in the mix, with Noah Juleson in the mix, even with Christian Wolanin and Guillaume Brisebois himself in the mix, there are too many defensemen that the Canucks have that Jett Wu would have to overtake if he wants to see NHL minutes this upcoming year. I don't know, man. If a team really does like what they saw out of Wu in the preseason this year, as well as throughout his junior career, they really do think that his physical play is going to carry over to NHL success this season, then maybe he gets claimed. Who really knows? He is younger than Brisebois, so I'd say there's a higher chance of him getting claimed than not, but still, I don't think he really moves the needle too much for teams to go out there and use a claim on him, especially since they would have to pretty much be forced to play him in the NHL if they did that. So Patrik Allvin making 2 moves here today. Brisebois and Wu are on waivers. Great trivia since they are both the first guys in the NHL this season who are getting sent down on waivers, who did not make their teams and who do not have waiver exemption. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think this means for the rest of the Canucks D-core? What do you think this means for some of the younger guys that are still trying to find their way and give themselves a role? Might I remind you, because Brisebois and Wu are getting sent down, that means that Elias Pettersson is still on the team. That means that Christian Wolanin is still on the team. There are a few other guys that were kind of rotating around there too in different lines and stuff in training camp, but for the most part, the fact that DPD is still up here, I think that's pretty significant. I don't think he's gonna, like, fight for a chance to make the final spot on the roster, but, like, I do think that it's good that he's already overtaking some other guys in the Canucks organization here. Not to mention Wolanin, who has some really good offensive instincts and can produce points, but who doesn't really do much of that at the NHL level. He's really good in the American Hockey League, though, so hopefully that can rub off a little bit more on some of the other younger dudes. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks putting 2 guys on waivers. We'll update y'all tomorrow with how exactly everything shapes up. Do you see long-term NHL projectability out of either Guillaume Brisebois or Jett Wu? I think Wu has a lot higher of a chance to do so. I think Brisebois is just going to be more of a tweener for the rest of his career, especially if he's able to fully come back after that concussion from last season. But for Wu, does he still have a chance of being a middle to bottom pairing defenseman? I'm not really too sure. Maybe he gets a tweener opportunity once in a while. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.